The Tale of the Monk Who Became a Horse. Once upon a time, there were three monks who followed the path of the Buddha. They traveled through the coastal regions of Shikoku, which included Iyo, Sanuki, Awa, and Tosa. While wandering, they unexpectedly ventured into the mountains. As they became lost in the deep woods, they longed to return to the coast. Eventually, they found themselves in a deserted, deep valley, and they lamented their situation. While pushing through the thorns, they discovered a plain with a fence around it. Thinking, this must be the dwelling of a person, they felt a surge of joy. Upon entering, they found a shared house. Even if it belongs to a demon, what can we do now? Not knowing the way, we cannot decide where to go. Let us ask the inhabitants of this house for guidance, they said. When they called out, someone inside asked, who is it? The monks replied, we are those who have wandered off the path in our practice. Please tell us where we should go. Wait a moment, came the reply. They soon saw a man of about 60 emerge, looking quite frightening. As they beckoned him closer, they thought, whether you are a demon or a god, what will you do with us? All three climbed up onto a wooden platform. The monk said, those fellows must have been made into something strange, and shortly after, a clean and delicate meal was brought to them. Indeed, this seems like something a human would serve, they thought, feeling relieved. While they were eating, the owner of the house, now visibly frightened, called for someone. They felt scared and wondered what was happening, but when the newcomer arrived, they saw it was a scary-looking monk. The owner said, bring the usual items, and the monk brought forth a horse's bridle and a whip. The owner instructed, do as you usually do, and one of the monks was taken down from the platform and dragged outside. The other two thought, what are they going to do with him? They watched as the monk was struck on the back with the whip. He was struck 50 times. The monk cried out, help me. Uh, but the other two did not know how they could assist him. After that, his clothing was stripped away and his skin was beaten another 50 times. After being struck 100 times, the monk lay down on the ground and the owner commanded, now lift him up. When the monk was pulled up, he suddenly turned into a horse, standing on his hind legs, pulling the bridle with his mouth. Seeing this, the other two monks thought, what kind of thing is this? This is not a place of this world. They will do this to us as well. They were filled with sorrow and overwhelmed, could not think straight. They soon dragged another monk down from the platform and struck him as before, and once he was finished being beaten, he too was made to stand as a horse. Now 2 horses were led away by their bridles. The last monk thought, they will pull me down and beat me like the others, and he was filled with despair. He prayed deeply to the Buddha, please help me. At that moment, the owner of the house said, let that monk stay there for a while. As he was saying this, night fell. The monk thought, rather than become a horse, I will just escape. Even if I am chased and caught, dying is the same as abandoning my life. But since he was in an unknown mountain, he could not think of where to run. He also contemplated, should I throw myself down and die? As he lamented various things, the owner of the house called for him. Yes, he replied, and the owner asked, is there water in the field over there? When the monk cautiously went to check, he found water and replied, there is water. He thought, what do you intend to do with me by asking this? And he felt as if he were losing his mind. Meanwhile, while everyone was sleeping, the monk resolved to escape and discarded his belongings, running away with just his body. He thought he must have run for 5 or 6 town blocks when he came upon another house. What kind of place is this? He wondered fearfully as he ran past. A woman stood in front of the house and asked, who are you? The monk replied, trembling, I am such and such a person, thinking, I will throw myself down and die, so I have come here. Please help me. The woman said, how pitiful. Such a thing is indeed tragic. First, please come inside. He entered. The woman said, for many years I have seen things like this happen, but I do not have the power to help. However, I hope to assist you. I am the eldest daughter of the lord of this land. Below here lives my younger sister, the wife of the second son. She alone can help you. Go to her, she said, and I will send a message. She wrote and handed it over, saying, 2 of the monks have already been turned into horses, and they plan to bury them alive. The reason they showed you water was to prepare for their burial. Hearing this, the monk thought, How wise of me to escape! That I can survive even for a moment is due to the help of the Buddha." He expressed his gratitude, bowing and thanking the woman profusely before running out, pointing in the direction she had indicated, thinking, "I must have come 20 town blocks." As he ran, he came upon a house at the edge of a mountain. "This must be it," he thought, and approached, saying, "I bring a message from such and such." The messenger took it in, returned, and said, "Come this way," and he entered. Inside was another woman who said, "I have also seen many such things, and my sister sent this message to assist you. However, there are indeed very frightening things here. Please hide for a while." She took him to a room and said, "Make sure you do not make any noise. The time has become propitious." The monk thought, "What is going on?" And he remained silent and still. After a while, he felt the fear of someone entering. It was a foul-smelling being. He was filled with terror and wondered, "What is this?" Just then, the Lord's wife entered and began conversing with someone else, and the two of them lay down together. The monk realized, this must be the wife of a demon who has come to hold someone in such a way. He was very uneasy. The woman then taught him the way to escape, saying, "It is truly remarkable that you have survived. Take joy in this." The monk, weeping like before, bowed deeply before her, then left the place and followed the path she had indicated. By dawn, he had come a long way. "Now I must have come about 100 town blocks," he thought, and it was just turning light. He saw he had reached the usual road. At that moment, he felt his heart settle down. How foolish it would be to think otherwise. After that, he sought out the human settlements, entered a house, and recounted the strange events that had happened to him. The people in that house replied, "What a bizarre story!" The villagers also listened and asked questions about it. The place from which he had escaped was in the province of Strashkak, in the district of Strashkak, in the village of Strashkrive. The two women admonished the monk, saying, "You were fortunate to have received help for your life. Do not tell others about what happened here." However, the monk replied, "I have no intention of remaining silent about such matters," and he spoke freely. The young men of that province, who were strong and bold, said, "Let us raise an army and go see what happened." But since they knew not where to go, they refrained from doing so. Therefore, the monks did not pursue the escaping monk, thinking, "There is no way to follow him since there is no path." Thus, the monk made his way to the capital, and afterward, no word came of where that place was. As for those who had been turned into horses, their whereabouts remained unknown. Perhaps they were trapped in the animal realm. Upon returning to the capital, the monk made particular efforts to perform good deeds for the two horses. Reflecting on this, it is clear that even though one may dedicate themselves to practice, one should not wander blindly into unknown places, as the monks wisely conveyed their experiences which have been shared since then. Thus, the story has been passed down. The Tale of the Man Who Married the Dog of Kitayama. Once upon a time, there was a young man in Kyoto who went to the Kitayama region for leisure. As the sun began to set, he lost his way in the mountains and found himself wandering without a path to return. With no place to stay for the night, he was troubled until he noticed a small hut faintly visible in a valley. The man thought, there must be people living here, and, feeling joyful, hurried over to investigate. Upon reaching the hut, he found a small thatched dwelling. Hearing his approach, a young woman, appearing to be in her 20s, with clean and elegant attire, emerged. The man was delighted and thought, "How fortunate!" The woman looked at him with a strange expression and asked, "Who are you?" The man replied, "I was wandering in the mountains for leisure and, having lost my way, found this place as the sun was setting. I was fortunate to discover it." The woman said, "No one comes here. The owner of this hut will be back shortly. If you plan to stay here, you must be cautious about who you trust. What do you intend to do?" The man replied, "I only wish for a safe place to stay for the night. If there is no other option, I will remain here." The woman said, "Then stay here. When my brother, who has not been seen for years, comes back, I will explain that you have come here by chance. Please remember to say nothing about this place when you return to Kyoto." The man, feeling grateful, said, "I will follow your advice. If I speak of this, it will surely bring trouble." The woman invited him inside, where she spread a mat for him to sit on. As he settled in, she approached and whispered, In truth, I am the daughter of someone important in Kyoto. I have been taken here unexpectedly, and now I have lived here for years. The belongings I have here are those I will soon retrieve. Please observe them, but do not be concerned, as there is nothing to fear." Tears flowed from her eyes, and upon hearing this, the man thought, "What could this mean? Is she cursed?" As night fell, strange and frightening noises came from outside. Listening to these sounds, the man was gripped by fear, thinking, "This is terrifying." The woman opened the door to let something in, and the man saw a large, fierce-looking white dog enter. He thought, "This must be a dog. This woman is its wife." The dog growled at the sight of the man, and the woman said, "My brother, whom I have longed to see, has wandered into the mountains. It is truly a strange and joyful event that he has arrived here." Upon hearing this, the dog looked at them with understanding and lay down before the hearth. There was also a basket of flax beside the dog. The food was clean and delicious, and the man ate heartily before sleeping. The dog stayed inside, lying next to the woman. As dawn broke, the woman brought food to the man and quietly said, "Do not speak of this to others. Also, be mindful that I have told you my brother's name, so be cautious. If any urgent matters arise, I will help you." The man replied, "I will never mention this to anyone. I will return soon." After eating, he departed for Kyoto. As he returned, he spoke to everyone he met about the strange encounter he had. Hearing this, people became intrigued, and soon everyone knew of it. Among them was a young man from the Kawahara area, known for his bravery, who gathered a group of about 200 armed men. They said, "Let us go to Kitayama, where the man lives with the dog, and we will kill the dog and take the woman." Each took bows and weapons and followed the man who had told the story. When they arrived at the valley, they found the hut and shouted excitedly, "There it is! There it is!" The dog, hearing their commotion, was startled and retreated into the hut. After a moment, the dog emerged to defend the woman standing in front of her, ready to protect her. Many arrows were shot at the dog, but none struck true, as it and the woman escaped deeper into the mountains like a bird in flight. Seeing this, the men realized, "This is no ordinary creature," and they all retreated. The man who had led them fell ill and within a few days passed away. Those who were pondering the events speculated that dog must have been some kind of spirit. It was truly an unfortunate event for that man. Thus, those without faith may find themselves losing their lives. Afterward, no one knew where that dog had gone. It was said it is somewhere in Omi province, and rumors spread questioning whether it was indeed a spirit or something else entirely. Title: The Tale of the People of Sado Who Were Blown to an Unknown Island by the Wind. Once upon a time, there were people from Sado who were traveling on a ship with many others. As they sailed in the middle of the sea, a sudden southerly wind arose, blowing their ship northward like an arrow. The crew, thinking their end was near, pulled up the rudder and let the wind carry them. Eventually, they spotted an island and thought, "Let us land on that island." Just as they hoped, the ship reached the island. Thinking they had narrowly escaped death, they prepared to go ashore. As they did so, people from the island appeared. These people were neither men nor children, and they wore white robes tied around their heads. The leader among them was extraordinarily tall, and their appearance was truly unlike that of ordinary people. The crew, upon seeing them, felt an overwhelming sense of fear, thinking, "These must be demons. We have unknowingly come to an island inhabited by demons." One of the islanders asked, "Who are you that have come here?" The people from the ship answered, "We are from the land of Sado. As we were traveling by ship, we were caught in a sudden storm and unexpectedly arrived at this island." The islander replied, "You must never set foot on this land. If you come ashore, something terrible will happen. We will send you food." And then they withdrew. After some time, about 10 more similar people appeared. The crew thought, "They are going to kill us." Looking at the leader, they were struck by his immense strength, which filled them with dread. The islanders approached and said, "We could call you to the island, but if you come, something bad will happen to you. Eat this and wait. The wind will naturally calm down. When that happens, you can return to your homeland." With this, they brought a food called fudo and another called imogashira, which the sailors ate and found very good. The food called fudo was extremely large, and the imogashira was also much bigger than usual. The islanders said that they lived on these foods. Eventually, the wind calmed and the crew set sail, returning to their homeland. Later, they wondered perhaps they were not demons, but some kind of gods. This was truly a strange occurrence. When the crew returned to Sado and told their story, all who heard it were greatly frightened. This island was not in a foreign land, but was within this country. The islanders were simply very large and had a dignified presence, quite different from ordinary people. This story happened not so long ago, and thus the story has been passed down. The tale of the giant corpse that washed ashore in the province of Hitachi. Once upon a time, there was a man named Fujiwara no Nobumichi, who served as the governor of Hitachi province. During his final year in office, around the fourth month, a fierce windstorm swept through, bringing a terrible night of extreme weather. On the eastern and western shores of the Stack district in the province, a giant corpse was washed ashore. The corpse was over 5 jo, about 15 meters long. Half buried in the sand, a person riding a tall horse approached and noticed only the tip of the corpse's bow protruding from the sand. From this, they could estimate its size. The head had been severed, and the right hand and left foot were also missing, likely torn off by a creature such as a crocodile. If it had remained intact, it would have been a truly extraordinary sight. Additionally, the body was lying face down, half hidden in the sand, making it impossible to determine whether it was male or female. However, the build and skin appearance suggested it was a woman. The locals who saw it were amazed, gathering in large numbers to gaze upon the spectacle in wonder. Meanwhile, in the province of Mutsu, at a place called Kaido, a person named Sexdrake, who was the governor of that region, also heard rumors of this giant and sent people to verify it. Because the corpse was buried in sand, they couldn't determine whether it was male or female, but they concluded that it was probably a woman. A knowledgeable monk remarked, "In this world, the Buddha never spoke of such giants existing. Perhaps it could be an Asura woman, as the features are quite refined." Since this was such a rare and unusual occurrence, the governor decided, how could we not report this to the central government? He was on the verge of doing so when the locals advised, if you report this, officials will surely be dispatched to investigate. Such an inspection would be a great inconvenience. It would be better to keep it hidden and let the matter rest. So, the governor decided not to report it and kept it secret. Among the soldiers of the province, there was one named Seikshri Kashu Shrak, who, upon seeing the giant, said, if such a giant washed ashore, how would we defend against it? Would an arrow pierce it? Let's find out. He shot an arrow, and it sank deeply into the body. Those who heard of this praised him, saying, what a remarkable and clever test. As days passed, the corpse began to rot, and the stench spread over an area of 10 to 20 cho, about 1 to 2 kilometers, forcing people to flee as it became unbearable. Although they had kept the matter secret, when the governor returned to the capital, word naturally spread, and thus the story has been passed down. The tale of the small boat that washed ashore in Echigo province. Once upon a time, there was a man named Minamoto no Yukito, who served as the governor of Echigo province. During his time in office, a small boat was found washed ashore on the coast of the Shash district. The boat was about 2 shaku 5 sun, roughly 75 centimeters wide, and 1 jo, about 3 meters long. Upon seeing it, people wondered, what could this be? Was it perhaps a toy someone built and cast into the sea for amusement? But upon closer inspection, they noticed that the rowlocks of the boat were spaced about 1 shaku 30 centimeters apart, and there were clear traces of a rudder. The well-worn condition of the fittings suggested it had been used frequently. Those who saw it concluded this was definitely a boat used by a real person, and they marveled, speculating what kind of tiny person might have ridden in this boat. People were astonished and said, when they row, their hands must move like the legs of a centipede. This is truly a rare and remarkable thing. The boat was taken to the governor's residence, where he too was amazed by the sight. An elder remarked, there have been previous instances when small boats like this have washed ashore. From this, they concluded that there must be a people who sail in such vessels, likely living in some northern world. They noted that while such boats had repeatedly appeared in Echigo province, no other provinces had reported such occurrences. When the governor returned to the capital, he shared the story with his family and relatives, and thus the story has been passed down.